We're back for World Cup last 16 action against France. Chances are we're going to get heavily thrashed in this game. Let's just rip it off like a band-aid. So when you're drawn against one of the world's strongest sides, you'd like to be able to put out your own strongest team, but sendings off in the last game have meant that that's not a possibility. We're going to be without Wilfried Singo and Frank Kessie. I think our two best players, Kessie, really can be the heartbeat of the midfield, even at the age of 33. And Singo is probably our main source of assists, raiding up from right full back. So they are going to be two pretty heavy losses, and the players that we're bringing in to replace them probably aren't quite to the same standard. Certainly in midfield, Ibrahim Sangare is no mean substitute. He's just played out another season with PSV Eindhoven and averaged a 7.22, not on Kessie's level, but certainly an able deputy. Whether Frank Kuau is as good a backup, I'm not really sure. He's certainly quick enough, and it says that he likes to get forward, but when he does, it doesn't look like he does a lot with it. His crossing is 10, and his dribbling is 9, and his passing is 10, and his vision is 9. So I think against France, it could be a difficult afternoon for that young man. We're going to stick with Sonali Diamande in central defence. That means that Kasunu can cover in midfield. So that really is the main gap that's been left by Kessie's absence. Further forward, we're certainly going to need more from our front three, because after a hat-trick in the first match, Hamid Traore has been pretty wretched, to be honest. And in the last game, he only got 6.2 against Guinea-Bissau. Amad Diallo was again good against Ecuador. He bagged himself a couple of goals. He's gone missing of late as well. A 6.8 for him in the last game. Hardly sensational. And Datro Fofana really has been absent without leave for this entire World Cup. He got a couple of good average ratings. He got a 7 against Ecuador and he got a 7.1 in the last game. But he only got a 6.5 in the game against Turkey. And he has missed some chances as well. So he really could do with finding the back of the net for us today if we're to stand any chance of just keeping the score respectable. I think with France having won 7-0 against Egypt in their last match, this has got an ominous feel about it. If we could keep the score down to 3-0, 3-1, I think that would be no disgrace in that kind of scoreline. A draw in extra time would probably be more than we could possibly hope for. France have got stars drawn from across the globe in their starting 11. Let's show you what we're up against today in a very frightening scout report. For this last 16 tie, we'll be heading to the capital of Madrid and the Wanda Metropolitano, the home of Atletico Madrid, where we'll be taking on a France team that still contain the likes of Magnon, Camavinga, Nkunku, and him. They'll be coached by former Arsenal midfielder Remy Gard, and they're going for their third World Cup, and we're all that stands in their way as France take on Ivory Coast. So this is going to be a big ask for our players today. For many of them, it's going to be the biggest international game I think they will have played. This is going to be tough. I think this is going to be our last game in charge of the national team, so we will try and enjoy it if we can. As Datro Fofana fires an early effort over the bar, you never know, we might have a couple of shots in this game yet. Well, we've survived the first, nigh on 6 minutes without going behind, and we're actually in against France now. Traore's had a very early effort. It has been blocked, but that was another good chance for us. But now the hard work starts, and Nkunku takes a free kick. Nicolas T saves it. That's France's first effort of the game, and now they're really coming at us, and Nkunku seems to be on all of the set plays. Kofi Kuau has cleared it, but Mbappe's now on the ball. He's swivelled and turned past his man. He's already hit a post. Even at the age of 31, he looks very, very sharp, and he's going to be a real thorn in the side of Kofi Kuau today. Really, we could do with Singo down there marking him instead. Now they've got Theo Hernandez bursting forward. Well, Kuau really is up against it with those two in the side today. Goodness me, another chance has just gone very, very close. France are definitely starting to assert their dominance now. We have made a few tweaks to the tactic for this game. We're only asking the fullbacks to be on support rather than attack. We've dropped the tempo, and the mentality's gone from positive down to balanced as well. So we're not asking as much of these players offensively as we were in the group stages and the game against Guinea-Bissau. We're hoping to try and stay a little bit more compact than we might do normally. But here is their frontman Blanc. and he really should have hit the back of the net. It's encouraging that we're not behind yet, but France are making all the running. Maybe this could be a rare highlight for us. We've managed to get in down the right. Datra Fofana's in, although they've managed to steal the ball away. Gonna have to start again. We're still in possession. Fulgini's got it. Ahmad has slipped. Datro Fofana in. Oh, we've taken the lead. Datro Fofana has not been here for the last 3 games. I thought he'd missed the plane to this World Cup. But he's now stole in, and when it mattered most, he has just jinked to the side of the keeper, and he's been fed by Amad Diallo, and my goodness, what a goal that young man has just scored. This would be the shock result of the save. So I'm a little worried that goal might have angered France. There was a little bit of petulance on our part, but at least when we go down 5, we'll at least have got on the score sheet. But could we try and do something else now? Hamad Traore looks like he's picked up a knock, by the way. That's hardly ideal. That means we're going to be without all 3 of our star players. This can only get worse from here on out. Can he make a little bit of an influence before we have to substitute him? We might try and just nurse him through to half-time. Datro Fofana's looking a lot more lively in this game than he has in the previous 3. We've had 3 shots now, only the goal on target. And France are going to start to look a little bit worried as they get closer to half-time. And they are still behind. We've missed a header. Diop gets onto the ball now, and he's in, and I think he's going to equalise. And Mbappe taps home. Is there a chance that he was in an offside position? Or is that wishful thinking? I think VAR's going to take a look at it. We can only pray that he was stood offside as the ball fell to him. And he was indeed. We have got away with another one. This must have been a close run thing. Blanc should have equalised. Nicholas T, I think, makes a decent stop. And Mbappe was stood offside to score the goal. I think we might just throw on a small amount of time wasting to see if we can get to half-time at 1-0. So I'm just trying to nurse this game through to half-time, but France have their own ideas. They've got a corner, and we've managed to clear it. Diop, who seems to be all over the park. Sofiane Diop, the Monaco player. It looks to be very influential in these early stages. We've got a couple of more minutes to see out. If we could go in 1-0 at half-time, I will be delighted. I think Hamad Traore is our big thing to have a look at this half. We've only had 3 shots the entire game, but we're 1-0 up. So this is a long way from ideal. We've actually got 2 knocks that we've got to try and deal with at half-time. Traore, I think, has definitely got to make way. I think we'll bring on the man that scored the goal against Guinea-Bissau, Diomande, to replace him. But Ibrahim Sangare is also struggling. It says hampered by an injury. His condition doesn't seem quite as bad, but I think by the time we get to about 60-minute marks, he's going to need to make way as well. We've brought on a 35-year-old replacement in Seko Fofana, who's making his 4th substitute appearances of this World Cup. And straight away, Kylian Mbappe has equalised, and he's not going to be offside this time. And we just couldn't hold out. 62 minutes have gone. Theo Hernandez plays a ball deep to the far post. I'm afraid one of our players has hopelessly and haplessly missed their header. Mbappe is completely unmarked at the other post, and he taps home. And now this is going to be incredibly difficult. We've got another highlight straight from the kickoff. We're not going to concede 2 in a minute, are we? Maybe it was all Ibrahim Sangare. We've taken him off and conceded straight away. Maybe we should have left him on even though he was injured. We've got a lot of work on now just to try and force extra time. Here's Diomande, the man that's just come on. Datra Fofana's on the ball. There is our other substitute. And we've had an effort. It was Diomande that raced through. As we send a long ball forward, Theo Hernandez is going to rescue it. And maybe we're going to have to put some wide players out there because they look like they've got the rule of the flanks as they have tapped home a second goal. Again, we're praying for an offside flag. I'm not seeing anything to say that it was offside. And this one's going to count. And now we are doing the chasing. Not a position I wanted to be in. Have I left changes too late? They've got 2 men up against one of our players down the flanks. And again, in the left-back slot, they are completely unmarked. I'm afraid that our mate Naka is having a torrid game. So I've had to let the shackles off a little bit in a bid to try and find an equaliser. We've got 23 minutes left in this game, and I've made some little changes. I've moved 2 of our players out wide, so we've only got the 1 up front. And I've also rejigged our midfield a little bit. Those changes haven't gone through yet. And my goodness, Fulgini should have equalised even before they have. He slid one past the post. That could have been the equaliser that we needed, but we're coming again. Kasunu now, Datro Fofana. Could he? Can he? He hasn't. Datro. He had his 1 finish of the game in the first half. That's 2 great chances to equalise. At least we're still in the tie. Look, we're on 73 minutes and we're still giving France a game. We've cleared that one. Although we don't have a lot up front anymore, do we? And Mbappe's in again. He's taking headers from the penalty spot now and still clipping the bar. And it is highlight after highlight after highlight. We're still on a balanced mentality. But one of our fullbacks is now attacking. We've asked one of our midfielders to be attacking as well because we don't have the shadow striker anymore. It's created a couple of chances. It's not playing too bad. But unfortunately, we are still prone to giving the ball away. And the weaker players in our squad, well, I think their deficiencies are being, oh my goodness, are just being unearthed as Nicholas T does what we feared he might do at some point in this World Cup. Rather than claim the ball, he's just palmed it up in the air. I didn't see the finisher. Was it Mbappe again? We've got 2 men down there, but they still can't stop the cross. Nicholas T could have left that to run out for a throw-in instead. I think he's just put us out of the World Cup. So we're having highlight after highlight. Unfortunately, they're not for us. This is from our own kickoff. We've given the ball away and France are in again. And they slotted home a 4th. And now we're starting to look like Egypt, who lost 7-0 in the last game. At 1-0, we were hopeful. At 1-1, we were realistic. At 2-1, we had a couple of chances to get back into the game. But 4-1, I think it's a race back to the hotel to get packed so we can be on the first flight out of Madrid because we have been opened up again. So we've made a little change. We've taken Kofi Kwao off. He was on a 5.8. I think Kylian Mbappe has taught him things about the game he didn't even know were possible this evening. And it's not over yet because Nkunku has chipped Nicholas Tay. It could have been 5-1. I just want to get to the full-time whistle now. We're in injury time at least. Let's just finish this game off at 4-1. We at least had our moment when we were 1-0 up in the lead. We would have given France a bit of a scare. I don't think we've disgraced ourselves. 10 shots, an XG of 1.46, a couple of chances when we were 2-1 down to equalise, but this does spell the end of our time with Ivory Coast. So I think this is a good illustration of what we're up against. France have scored 4, 6, 7 and 4 again in their games in the World Cup so far. And even if we had pulled off that miracle result, we'd have been up against the Netherlands in the quarter-final. So I think we've done well to get as far as we did. But now that our time with the Ivory Coast is over, it's time to check in on our former clubs and former players before we start thinking about pre-season training at our new club ourselves. So for Dugapolia, it was mid-table mediocrity as they came 6th in the 2nd division. But Piranha continued to slide. They finished 10th, just 4 points above the drop. As we saw Benin fail to qualify for the World Cup and played out a couple of AFCON qualifiers. But Górnik Zabrze continued to improve, 5th place this time in the Polish top tier, narrowly missing out on the European places. Pleasingly, Austria Wien finally regained their place in the Austrian Bundesliga, running away with the 2nd tier. But it was a less successful season for Cluj, who only came 4th in the Romanian top flight. PAOK finished 3rd and still can't climb above city rivals Aris. And our most recent club, Schalke, come bottom of the Bundesliga with only 1 win and 10 points across the entire campaign. As for our former players, Duja Javorčić seems to have settled into life in the Croatian lower leagues. We were bound to lose one eventually. Patrick Lejeang has retired and is now an unemployed scout. Peter Jurica continues to play well in the Slovakian Superliga. Uwe Fürstenhofer made 7 substitute appearances for Dortmund but managed to score 2 goals. Alexandru Munteanu made just 1 appearance for Cluj and has now changed clubs. Maitian Melida is still with PAOK and managed to score 9 goals in the top flight. And the average rating wasn't great for Rainer Raskel, but he's played 32 times in the Bundesliga and did manage to net 7 goals. So for the Ivory Coast, it's a return to AFCON qualification as they face Liberia in their next game. But we're about to hand in our notice and fly to a new destination. When you join us for our next episode, we'll be revealing who our new employers are.